I got a new setup, so I'm trying to figure out where to put all my stuff and what goes
All right.
where.
We are recording.
Okay, thank you. I note that it is now 6:31 p.m. on Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. I'd like to call the Board of Public Works meeting to order. Call to order and roll call. So Diane Wolf is present, Stephen Knott,
Present.
and Jared Holter,
Here.
Fred Bueller,
Here.
Mayor Kim Smith.
Here.
And please note for the record also that Kevin Schubert, our Assistant City Engineer, is in attendance. Our City Administrator, Eric Rindfleisch, is. 3rd District Alderperson, Carrie Burmaster. 1st District Alderperson, Tom Smith. And a couple other attendees also. So number 2, approval of minutes from the previous meeting.
I move to approve.
Seconded.
So Mayor Kim moves to approve the minutes from the January meeting and Fred Bueller seconds. Discussion. Excuse me. Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 3, public input limited to 3 minutes per individual. If there's anyone in attendance who would like to give public input at this time, they may do so. State your first and last name and your home address, and you have 3 minutes. Would anyone like to give public input at this time? First call? Second
Diane?
call? Yes, Jared?
And will you be taking public input during the items if they so choose to, or I know we have one individual on I don't know if Aaron, if you want to give any public input or you want to wait for the item or.
And Aaron, which item would he be wanting to give input on?
Number 4.
Number 4. Oh, yeah, we will certainly let him speak. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
sure. Unless you have so much to say that you want to do a double. So sometimes people do that.
Yeah, I think the one time should be just fine. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, well, we will give you your sufficient time that you need. Sure.
Thank you.
3rd and final call for public input. Hearing none, I will go ahead and close public input and move on with the printed agenda. Consideration and possible action on the following items. Number 4, review and consideration of sidewalk snow removal charges for 9366 State Trunk Highway 16. Jared.
In your packet tonight, I have included a email from Mr. Aaron Brooks from the owner of the 9366 State Trunk Highway 16. This is the former Shopco site. They were cited for lack of snow removal. In your packet tonight, you can see there's an invoice for $2,200 also in that packet, along with some pictures of the site before it was shoveled. I guess this is the venue for the rebuttal to the charges as outlined. I also have a copy of the ordinance stating it must be done within 24 hours. These actual, because of the way the holiday fell around New Year's, the sidewalks that were done, both this item 4 and 5, were done approximately 5 days after the snow event. So I guess with that, I'd open it up and maybe let the owner, if they wanted to state their cause or anything, I would open up for that if it's
Sure.
okay.
Mr. Brooks, if you would like to give input, we would certainly like to hear from you at this time.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for having me here and hearing our case. Just one point of clarification I did want to mention. I don't actually own the building. I'm the property manager working on behalf of the owner. So just wanted to clarify that, but did want to just speak to you all and see if there's anything we can do to reduce or possibly even eliminate the charge against us for the snow removal. It's something we have taken care of. As soon as I got that notice, immediately contacted my snow removal provider, which is Harder Trucking. They were quick to acknowledge that they had made a mistake and forgot about it. So we've since taken care of it. We've rectified the situation. I did have a further conversation with Dave from Harder Trucking, and he wanted, I don't know if he's on the call, he said he might be, but wanted to mention that he would be willing to do whatever he can to even maybe work off the violation. If the city, would need help with a particular project or something like that, he'd be happy to dedicate some time. He also said he has an additional like skid loader, so he could also dedicate some equipment. And I guess ultimately just wanted to get your consideration to see if there's anything we can do to reduce, eliminate, or have my snow removal provider work off this fine.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Jared? Your thoughts?
I will say the sidewalk has been done after the notice or after we did it and the invoice was sent out. The last couple snowstorms, they have removed the snow from this area timely. So other than that, the history behind our sidewalk snow removal for this one and the next one, we did update our city ordinance a little over a year ago to reflect a different way for sidewalk snow shoveling. We did used to send letters out, warning letters, and we do the mailing system and everything like that. We were getting to the point where it would snow again and we could never get it to the point where it'd be a violation. And we were getting a lot of pushback from city residents that the sidewalks were not adequately getting taken care of. So we did change the ordinance. It used to be time and material, but we found that we had people that were actually letting us do it. I'm not saying that for the owner here, but we had owners of small properties that were just letting us do it. So we had to change our ordinance to reflect something that would get people to actually perform their snow removal services. So kind of where we're at today.
Mayor Kim?
Yeah, thank you. And nice to meet you, Aaron. Thank you for coming to the meeting today. I'm wondering, Fred or Jared or Kevin, is there any other outstanding concerns with this property? And where I'm going with that is like, is this a one-off or do we have other issues that are kind of unresolved that I think would kind of guide us in what we wanted to do next?
Jared?
So, we did have one problem last winter, but I think that's the reason the property manager they hired a different snow removal. And last year it was kind of in flux because Shopko had just vacated the premises. So I try to give them a pass on that one per se, because they were in a time of flux. We did have an instance this summer. We had to send a letter for mowing, but I think they got it done timely once we sent the letter for that. So, we haven't had it's not a long history here, but it's just been kind of something that, I think what the owner, and I don't want to speak for the property manager, but it just ends up being, it's a large parcel. There's a lot of feet of sidewalk there. So that's kind of where they're coming from, I think.
Okay, so Fred, excuse me, but
Oh, go ahead.
Fred, on your side, is there anything outstanding or any other concerns we should consider?
Well, first of all, Jared, in reference to the ordinance, when you and I have talked about snow removal in the past, would it be correct to say you usually send out a warning and they only get one warning a season?
So we used to send out one warning letter, but we got to the point where trying to send those out and coordinate all those and get the work done, it would snow again. And we got to the point where by the time we got things where we could actually go out and do it, winter was half over or 2/3 over. So we have not been doing the warning letters. We do, actually, as you'll see in number 5, we do put a warning tag on the door when we go out and do inspections. Now, obviously very difficult with the former Shopko site because there's nobody in the building. So the 24-hour notice is very difficult to give. And we don't, like, before this, I didn't know Mr. Brooks. I had no way of contacting him, unfortunately. We did have a few around the city that we did, try to contact. Like the school district had one that they hadn't done. So we called the school district and told them, but we just didn't have a contact for anyone at the Shopko site. So basically 24 hours after we did the inspections, we went out and did the work.
Well, and as a follow-up to Mayor Kim's question, I know I also talked with another property maintenance department a couple days ago, maybe last week. I know there were a couple notices also that went out in 2019 also. So there have been some property maintenance issues with it, whether it be snowing and mowing with the property. So just to give a little bit more background. Mayor Kim?
Thank you. But I would say when you come up with the cost, Jared, that's our cost to do it, right?
No, the new ordinance, it's a flat cost, no matter how much snow is there, ice, it is intended to cause the homeowner or property owner to shovel the sidewalk. It's meant to have an effect where we were not having that effect before by charging our actual cost. We went out there, we were using mechanical equipment, so obviously, I mean, we got it done fairly expeditiously because we did a number of them in the city, but it's meant to be to the point where you don't want us doing the city performing the services of doing the sidewalk.
Punitive.
A vicious word, but it is.
So if I can just jump in again, I certainly got that message. It's not something I plan on having the city continue to do. Made the corrections with my provider and just, I don't live in the area, so I didn't see any notices or anything like that. So again, I'm at everyone's mercy here and just hoping, I've talked with my guy. We can assure you it won't happen again. We've made corrections moving forward. I certainly don't plan on counting on the city to do it every single time. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Fred?
The biggest concern I have is making a deviation or an adjustment to this bill will open up a major Pandora box to everyone that has been being paid and been charged for snow removal thus far this year.
To counter that, what if we were to explore the option of utilizing my contractor for various projects that the city could potentially use help with? That way it's more of, you're not, excuse me, just eliminating the fee, but it's actually being worked off.
The only concern I have with that is not all the people that we have had to shovel snow for and been charged don't have the luxury of having that option available. And I think that would be also a dangerous precedent to follow.
Stephen?
This is Steve. Yes. So I guess I understand where Fred's coming from, but I don't know that I totally agree that every time we were to make an exception that we're setting a precedent for everybody. Every single case, of course, is a little different. In this case, what I'm hearing is that the property owner actually had a contract and the contractor is the one who made the mistake and they admitted to the mistake. So it's not, he had a process in place, if I'm understanding this right, to remove the snow, but the process broke down. It wasn't just, I choose not to do so. That's why I'm saying not every single one is the same. That's why I don't think that we're setting a precedent if we ever were to make an exception in any individual case.
Thank you, Stephen.
Am I interpreting that wrong? That it was a process that broke down? That you actually had that the owner had a contract in place that just didn't get executed?
That is correct. Yes, I've had my snow removal contract in place since prior to December.
So in this case, I could argue that we are punishing the person who did the right thing, while the person who made them, while the company that made the mistake is actually not paying the price. So I don't know who we're punishing here.
Thank you, Stephen. So Fred or Jared, have we ever gone ahead and waived in your memories? I don't personally remember any time we've waived. Just offhand.
I do not remember ever waiving anything. I think you have to charge something. It's just a matter of what you feel the charges should be. I think it would be my interpretation, but
Well, to get discussion going, I'll make a motion that we do, charge the owner of the property or the property manager, the owner of the property at 9366 South 16th Street, former Shopko, a 50% reduction at $1 per linear foot, which would come to, was it $1,100?
Do I
actually,
have a
that-
sec?
oh, sorry.
Is there a second? I have a motion on the floor by Stephen Knott to reduce the snow removal, the snow slash ice removal invoice to $1,100. Do I have a second?
Second?
Sorry.
It doesn't hurt to try, right?
Yeah. We always need a little bit of levity added to our board meetings.
Happy to do anything I can.
Oh, I understand. So motion dies for a lack of a second. Well, I will go on record and say that, number one, I appreciate you coming to our meeting tonight. I appreciate your input and try to make some offering to make up for it. Please note that it isn't falling on deaf ears for myself, because you are, in my opinion, you are going above and beyond what I typically hear at any of our committees, commissions, or boards. Until I hear a motion, I can't say what I'm going to support, so I will withhold my comment until I hear another motion on the floor. So what are the wishes of the board this evening? Mayor Kim?
I just wanted to say also, thank you for coming. We really do appreciate it. And we're glad that you've made the connection with the staff now. So if there is anything you need in terms of communication, I hope that that line will be open. And we really are supportive of the future of that site. It's important to us. But we're looking at not just that site, but the city as a whole. I think when we're reluctant to change that fine, because it is for a reason. It has a history behind it, which we tried to share a little bit of.
And do know also, Mr. Brooks, that whatever's decided this evening will then have a final decision next Tuesday, February 9th at the council meeting. So this is just, you're only 50% of the way here. So Tuesday night will be the final determiner. So
Okay, is
that's what
that,
happens Tuesday.
okay, would that be another call that I jump in on, or is that just you guys and me privately?
You are certainly welcome to attend that. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
And you could also speak during the public input if you want to
Yep.
draw attention to your situation.
Okay, thank you.
Do we actually need a motion, Diane, if we don't want to take any action?
It may not
Jared,
be
your
a bad
thoughts?
idea to take action of sending it on to council without a recommendation. Otherwise, it may not go to council.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we not make any adjustments to the invoice. I guess I'm not supposed to make a motion that we not. I move that we make no changes to the charges for sidewalk snow removal charges at 9366 State Trunk Highway 16. The motion is for no change.
Go
And
ahead.
I'll acknowledge him as soon as I hear a second. Sorry.
I'll
So
second
motion
it.
by, who was that?
I'll second it.
Okay, so motion by Mayor Kim, seconded by Fred, to reflect that there will be no change to the charge of $2,200 to the site, the parcel at 9366 State Trunk Highway. So that is the motion. Our city administrator, Eric, good
Thank
evening.
you. Making motions is always tricky, and my suggestion would be, now the motion's already been made, but move to deny the request to make adjustments to it, because then at council, that motion can be amended to approve the request if you so desire to do that. Whereas right now we have a motion to do nothing, which can't really be overridden by the council later on. So that's just my 2 cents in terms of making the motion. I think it's clear whatever the intent is could be clarified both here and at council without making any changes, but I just want to throw that out
I would
Okay.
like to restate my motion to reflect that. I think the meaning is the same, but the words are more clear. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
And Fred, that is also your
Yes,
consider,
yes.
so to restate that the motion will be to deny the request for snow removal charges for 9366 State Trunk Highway 16. Thank you, Eric. So, so I have stated that correct? Everyone agrees that sounds right? Okay. So discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Those opposed
Nay.
and abstentions. Note the vote is 4-1 with Alder not the nay. Okay, so Mr. Brooks, maybe we will see and or hear you next Tuesday. The meeting for council is Tuesday evening.
Okay,
Yeah.
quick
7
question on that. Will you send out another invite, or do I just basically copy and paste this and move this to the same time and place?
I'll make sure they send you an invite, Aaron.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you again.
Thank you. And then, do you need me for anything else, or?
Nope.
Okay,
I don't think so.
well, thank you
Great,
very
thank
much
you
for your
again.
time. I appreciate the consideration.
Absolutely, thank you. Okay, so moving on with the printed agenda, number 5, review and consideration of sidewalk snow removal charges for 902 Oak Timber Drive. It was a snowy month.
Yeah.
So Jared,
So in your packet tonight, I have a request from the owner of 902 Oak Timber Drive for a reversal of charges. You can see that the owner wrote on their invoice that I've attached in your packet tonight. And I've also attached the notice that was actually given to the homeowner that was actually hung on their door. He is stating that there's no date on the notice, and then that he was in the hospital for 10 days and would like to have the notices or the charges reversed. So what I would also point out in this one is the fact that we did not actually do inspections until 5 days after the snow event. So, you know, it's not, I guess that's,
thank you, Jared. So what is the wishes of the board?
I'll make a motion to deny the reconsideration of the sidewalk snow removal at 902 Oak Timber Drive.
I'll second that.
Okay.
A motion by Fred, second by Mayor Kim to deny the consideration of sidewalk snow removal charges for 902 Oak Timber Drive. Discussion. Did you want to say something, Stephen?
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
So first off, the fact that there's no date on a 24-hour notice to me is irrelevant. You've got 24 hours to see it. So, but the hospitalization portion does concern me. If the homeowner can provide confirmation, some way to confirm that he actually was in the hospital during those 6 days, the 5 days prior to the inspection plus the 1 day after for the 24-hour notice. So, I mean, certainly, I don't think we should be expecting someone to be doing their sidewalk if they're laid up in a hospital. That would seem pretty extreme to me. But if that were the case, the homeowner would have to provide some type of proof that they were in the hospital for those 6 days and unable to do this. I don't suppose we have anything like that individual provided.
I was not given that any kind of proof for that.
Yeah.
If the,
So what are the wishes of the board? Oh, I'm sorry, I have a motion on the floor, I'm sorry. Eric? Oh, I'm sorry, I guess you did want to speak, okay. Any other discussion?
Would it be reasonable to offer a, 3 working day grace period for this individual to provide that information, assuming that they can. That, for again, that 6-day period that they actually were in the hospital, but they'd have to provide proof of that. Otherwise, I have no problem charging the full fee.
I guess,
Anyone want to take a stab at that, Mayor Kim?
Did the person actually call or did they just drop the bill off with the note on it? I mean, I'm willing to call and talk to them if the committee thinks that's something that we want to go down that road. What other information do we have, I guess?
Aaron?
I actually talked to the owner of this property that came to the counter, and I made the copies of the notice that he brought along and the invoice, and had the individual write their what they're disputing on the invoice. And the owner was very animated that they thought that this was unfair. So I guess you could, if you wanted to let them try to come back with documentation they're in the hospital, we could leave it as a actionable council item like we did with the first one. And I can give you a report at the meeting, the council meeting, if you so choose.
Mayor Kim?
To me, it just feels kind of, I mean, people have a million reasons why they didn't shovel, and I don't know that I want to get it. I mean, I'm willing, if the committee I'm willing to talk to them, but I just feel like that's really opening a can of worms for then, what are we going to judge this based on? So if maybe someone just had a baby and they don't have a babysitter and they don't want to leave the kid in the house. I mean, that's reasonable. I don't want them to go shovel either. And alternatively, I know there's plenty of people in the community that ask me if there's something they can do to help. And if this was a case where they would have reached out, we could have helped. I mean, obviously, if you're in the hospital, you can.
Yeah, I think each case would be taken one by one. Again, I don't think we're setting precedent. In this case, we'd be setting precedent for all those who are laid up in the hospital. We wouldn't be setting precedent for any other ones, such as babysitters or what have you. This would be, but I mean, if the person was in the hospital, they're going to have a bill, and the bill is going to show the dates that they were in the hospital, and they can provide that. And if it covers those 6 days, then I think it would be, pretty stone-hearted of us to say that, when somebody has a medical emergency, we're going to charge them anyway for not doing their sidewalk. That to me is pretty extreme. Now, I don't know that this person will be able to provide that, saying that they were, the entire 6 days that they were gone. I don't know. But if they were, I mean, that's the only precedent we'd be setting here, is that if somebody actually could prove that they were in a hospital bed during the snowfall, then they might get a little extra time. I don't know. That's the precedent. I mean, precedent isn't, because of this, therefore everybody. That's not how it works.
Mayor Kim?
I'm wondering if we can even legally ask someone if they were in the hospital.
Well, we can't, but he's already offered it up. I mean, that's why it's part of the conversation now. He says on his slip that he was in the hospital for 10 days with COVID and heart failures right there as part of the public record. He made it as such. So but normally you're right. You can't ask medical questions. In this case, he's opened it up. So we could go back to that, I would think. We can ask Amanda and say, can you prove that? And can we see the dates so that we can compare them?
Anyone else?
The only thing
Jared?
I would say is, there is, as the mayor stated, everyone's got something going on. There's always a reason or a rhyme. And I do feel for Mr. Gleiss if he was in the hospital, and it is unfortunate, but I've talked to elderly people who can't shovel their sidewalk. I've talked to people that just forgot about it, people on vacation. There's always something going on.
But in each of those cases, they would be responsible for making sure that it happened. So, I mean, I would be viewing them differently. If somebody knows they can't shovel because they don't have the ability to do so, but they're still going to be maintaining their property, then they would have to make sure that somebody does it for them, as an example. So it's quite different. If this is a medical emergency, this is not something somebody can plan on. And if they truly were in the hospital during that 6-day period, I just find it remarkable that we would, zero tolerance policies to me are, honestly, I find them somewhat lazy, because what it means is we don't have to take these things into consideration and actually consider, that each and every individual situation is different. So I have always despised zero tolerance policies, and that's where we're going down here. No matter what, even if you were called out in the extreme case, on an ambulance and taken away the night before it snowed, that we're still going to charge you $2 per lineal foot to do your which we have already said is punitive, and that so we're punishing them for having a medical emergency. That doesn't make sense to me.
Any other discussion at this time? I'll remind everyone that the motion on the floor is to deny the request for consideration of removal of charges. And Eric?
Slightly off topic, but I think speaking to what Alder Knott was referencing, the council obviously is the policy-making body, sets the ordinances and policies that exist out there. But it's a misconception that anytime under its administrative abilities, a council like the body makes an exception or makes a challenge to that, it automatically creates for every exact similar situation a precedence. Everything is always taken under consideration at the moment, but it's not automatic. It does make for uncomfortable conversations if city ever gets sued by somebody to ask why one party and not the other, but it doesn't automatically create that precedence setting for you. So I don't know if it helps the conversation or not, but that's just sort of misconception out there that, once an exception is made, it's always has to be exactly the same way for everybody.
Thank you, Eric.
I'll make an amendment to motion that pending the ability of the homeowner to provide proof of hospitalization over that 6-day period prior to the common council, that we then charge him the fee. And if he does provide said proof, then it can be revisited at the common council.
Is there a second?
We probably should make a new motion, or is that where you're going, Mayor?
Yeah, and then I was also going to say that we need to remember that even if he were to provide, and I don't have a problem with that, Stephen, but even if we were to do that, I mean, he still needs to cover the cost. We're not going to just do it for him for free.
Agreed. But the $2 per lineal foot is not the cost. That's above and beyond.
Well, to be honest with you, his whole bill came to $160. So this is probably one on the other end of the spectrum where by the time we have a staff member go out and actually get out there, we're not going to lower the bill a whole lot on that one.
That is pretty close to type of material how we used to charge.
Yeah, that one's pretty close. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sympathetic, but
So there was an amendment, but I don't have a second to the amendment. We'll last call for a second to the amendment. Mayor Kim?
yeah, I'm not going to second it, but I mean, I do think we can always revisit things at council if we have more or different information, right? Without Stephen's amendment, just to kind of be a mediator here.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think from what I've heard tonight, I'll leave both of these on the regular agenda for the council meetings. That way they need action. How about that?
So the amendment fails and the motion still on the floor is to deny reconsideration of the charges to 902 Oak Timber Drive. One last call for discussion before we vote.
Just a question. So doing that, but with the way it's worded, it will go to the common council, so the individual would have potential to provide additional information. Is that correct? As
Correct.
it's worded now?
Yeah,
Yes.
I will reach out to the owner of 902 Oak Timber Drive, Mr. Gleiss, and try and inform him of that.
Okay,
So a yes vote is to deny reconsideration of the charges. A no vote is the opposite. So all those in favor of said motion to deny reconsideration of the charges at 902 Oak Timber Drive, say aye.
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 Those opposed? I hear no one. And abstentions? So it is you, I just want to confirm, it is unanimous to deny consideration. Okay, so it passes unanimously, and it will be on, so both items 4 and 5 will be on the non-consent agenda under Board of Public Works.
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you. We get to turn the page. So item number 6, preliminary resolution regarding assessments for concrete sidewalk and concrete apron at various locations. Jared.
In your packet tonight, we have included Resolution 10-2021 outlining various locations for infill sidewalk within the city of Onalaska. This was a project included within our 2021 approved capital improvement budget. In that budget, we had a total of $48,165 for infill sidewalk. Once our assistant city engineer, Kevin Schubert, put together the list of proposed locations. And we had some areas in Green Coulee that we went through. It was my request that Kevin put in everything that needed to be done in Greens Coulee because we found that I wanted to go in there and not do it piecemeal. With that, with everything that you have in your resolution tonight, if we want to do all that work, it would come to almost $94,000. So we did not have enough money budgeted to do all of those. Looking through that and going through that, I think all the sidewalk projects are worthy for infill. I wanted to update the board. It's not an agenda item, but it's pertinent to this topic. We did have a bid opening today for the Green Coulee intersection project. That project was originally budgeted at $1,200,000. Original budget back in July for that project was $1,130,000. We had a budget number just before the bid of $1,030,000 from the engineers, their opinion of probable cost. We received bids today. The apparent low bid is $758,000. The next low bid was $838,000, or approximately in that range. So even if we don't award the low bid and we go to the second bid, we're still well under our budgeted amount. I think from that project, it would be a good use of some of those funds to, if we're going to do the sidewalk infill, would be to use some of those funds to do the whole list that we have tonight. It's quite a bit of work for the engineering department to send the notices out, put everything together, try and do all this paperwork. So if we're going to do a project, we would just as soon do the whole project and not just piecemeal it. So that would be my recommendation, is to use some of those funds from that project to backfill part of the funding needs for the sidewalk infill project and get it all completed in 2021.
Thank you, Jared. And as a quick follow-up, if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, for the 2021 capital improvements, infill initially did not make the first cut because we didn't have the money. And then when we ended up having some money, I can't remember where it came from, we only partially funded it with the 48,165.
We actually did backfill the funding, and I think we had, when we hadn't gone through the list entirely, when we did the capital improvement budget on identifying exactly what parcels we needed to have done, and so we only had 40,000 in, so we actually funded a little bit more for this one.
That's right.
But we deleted the East Avenue project, which was over $100,000 for sidewalk.
That's right.
So we did not fund as much as we had in the sidewalk line item.
That's right. Well, and I want to thank staff for providing us the overviews of the 4 maps. That helps me personally I used to go out and about and drive by to see where they were. And then once I discovered Google Street Maps, it's like, oh, I could just sit in the comfort of my own home and see them all and see where they were. And so this is really nice. So I know Jared and I had talked earlier, we thought we were going to have to maybe break this down into green coulee and non-green coulee and break this out and only be able to do some of this. So needless to say, I am beyond thrilled to hear that depending upon the wishes of this board tonight, that we have the possibility of maybe doing it all this next year. So I'm anxious to hear what the rest of the board thinks.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 10-2021.
I'll second.
So motion by Mayor Kim, second by Alder Knott to approve resolution 10-2021. And just to confirm, that is for the entire amount of $93,922.75, correct, Mayor Kim? And Alder Knott for your second?
That's what I understand.
Okay, perfect. Discussion. Jared?
Just as a clarification with that resolution, it will include setting up, we will have a public hearing at the next Board of Public Works meeting, March 2nd, for this resolution.
Yep. Perfect. Those are always fun every year. So, any other discussion? Fred?
I got one, Jared, and I don't know, maybe I just an oversight, but when I read that one sentence here, if after making the election, the property owner fails to make the payment to the city treasurer, the city clerk will place the entire assessment on the following tax roll. When we send out assessments, the property owner has an option to let us know whether he wants to pay 1/20th of it or
Yeah.
pay the entire amount. But if they don't respond, then we don't collect the full amount.
Correct. I'll confirm the wording on that and attach it to the non-consent agenda and make sure we got the correct wording.
Okay, thanks.
So any other discussion at this time? All those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 7, review and consideration of purchasing replacement sanitary sewer camera, non-budgeted item. Jared.
In your packet tonight, I have included some quotes for replacement sanitary sewer camera for our Public Works Department. Just as the current sanitary sewer camera we've had for a number of years. We've had sent it in the last few years for repairs. Upon inspection, actually last fall, and then going into winter here, it was found that we can't repair it anymore, just can't get the parts. It's over 15 years old. In your packet tonight, there's 2 different cameras with budget numbers for them. The first camera is the camera similar to what we have now, which we have problems with. We can only go through a clean pipe. The secondary camera is more of a robust crawler type camera, but it does come at a much higher cost. Part of this also goes in with item number 8, which is our sanitary sewer televising for the year. Just going into that, item number 8, we have 2 quotes for sanitary sewer televising for the next 3 years. We do have a firm that is out of Galesville, Wisconsin, that actually has done our sanitary sewer televising for, I'd say, about the last 10 years. They will come in on an emergency basis, and they're obviously only a half hour away from Onalaska, so they can come sooner. If we would go with a firm doing our televising or whatever that's further away from Onalaska, then I think we'd almost have to replace the camera, because if we have an emergency, we want to be able to get somebody here within a shorter amount of time. If we can do the emergency televising with also doing the sanitary sewer televising for the 3-year period, I would be fine leaving the sanitary sewer camera and trying to budget for it in the next budget cycle. I think if we go with a firm for our sanitary sewer televising that is out of the region, then we probably should have a camera that we could use in an emergency situation. As you know, sewer backup's always one of those things that you never want to see, never want to hear. We do enough maintenance that we try to limit our exposure as much as we can. But if we do have an emergency, it's one of the things you don't want to wait a day before we get someone to go out and televise the situation. So I guess with that, I wanted to put it in because, we don't have a sewer camera right now. So it kind of 7 and 8 kind of work together is what I'm getting at.
Jared, I have a quick question. So, 2 quick questions. So my first is about how many times on average would you guesstimate that we would need to use on an emergency basis, possibly this $34,000 or $80,000 camera?
So there's at least once a year, I'd say that we probably go out, but I mean, it could be 3 or 4 depending on the year, depending what's going on. Some of it's what construction projects we have going on, different things like that. It's kind of like having the sewer Vector truck, which costs $400,000. When you need it, you need it. And it's just not, getting around it. So
Yeah, and then my second question is, if we did not purchase either one of the cameras under number 7, and we relied on, for example, the company out of Galesville, what would they charge on average, would you guesstimate, to do an emergency visit?
it usually varies anywhere from $200 to $400 per visit. Sometimes it's $500 if they have to be out for a longer extended period of time, but somewhere in that $300 to $500 range is typically what we see.
Thank you.
So if we get our own camera, we don't need to consider number 8, then is that what I'm understanding?
Well, I think that we'd still have to, we could do number 8 internally if we had the more expensive camera. But now you've got to remember, we've got staff time that we got to factor into that. So it's if you look at that and you think, well, in 3 years we could pay off the camera, then we'd have to have some other duties that wouldn't be done because we'd have to dedicate staff to doing the televising that we'd be hiring out. So once I run the numbers, it's kind of a wash between what we pay our staff and the number of hours it would take. But it would be one that we would have more control over our televising because we could have internal staff do it. But as you know, we're not going to hire another staff member to be the sewer camera operator. So,
do we know what the average durability or longevity, I guess, would be of either one of these cameras, and which has lower maintenance costs? I assume there's a hidden cost in here too. We'd have to maintain these.
Correct, and I think the lower priced camera, we've had it in for repairs, not quite frequently, but it's been in a number of times. I think the more expensive camera is meant for a more industrial application. So it would be more in depth of being able to go through a pipe and not having to work as hard because that pipe typically, especially in an emergency situation, you're trying to do something that the pipe hasn't been cleaned. So the thing with the crawler, the more expensive camera, we could do more televising of storm sewers because we have a greater variability of what attachments we could put on that crawler and size of wheels and things. So it would have it's not only that it would be a better camera, it would also give us more applications to use it also.
Well, I guess I'll clarify the question. I'm going to use an analogy. When I'm going out to buy a new car, I'm going to go online and I can look to see what the average life of that vehicle is and what the average annual maintenance cost of that vehicle is. I mean, do we have any information like that for these cameras?
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I know in talking to staff that has researched this, the more expensive camera is the better camera of the two. So it would give us much more options and clarity and usefulness when we're using that camera. As far as the exact maintenance cost, any camera that you put into a sewer is going to have maintenance cost. It's just what it is, because it's a rough environment. But I think, I don't have the exact maintenance cost difference between the two. But I would equate the more expensive cameras, it's almost like adding four-wheel drive to your vehicle. You've got a lot more capability in getting around that
But your
camera.
maintenance costs will go up too.
Correct.
Okay. So it's,
I think better-
I guess, it's a question of the flexibility of the staff with the camera versus the, I guess, known cost of going with a contract is the way I'm looking at this. Because certainly at initial look, it looks like getting the more expensive camera would, after 3 years would all but pay for itself, would just be shy of that. But that's pretty quick return on investment, but that does not include maintenance costs.
That does not include our staff time to man the camera neither.
Also, yes. So the return on investment would actually be delayed for probably several more years. Whereas if we go with a contract, we know what the cost is. There's no surprise.
Mayor Kim?
I was just gonna say, I feel like we've discussed this before and we've felt that the optimum setup is to have the contractual company come in for the routine, the things that we need to do, and then to have our own tool for when there's emergencies. I think that's probably the most cost effective and still being sensitive that it could be a time sensitive situation. So in the long term, I feel like I would like to continue doing it that way. However, knowing the budgeting process that we just went through is like really still fresh in my mind. And I'm wondering if we can postpone buying a camera until as we move through the budget year and see if maybe some other projects will come in under budget, or maybe some money will become available that will help us, because I feel like if we're pressured to do it now, we might want to go with the less expensive camera. But if we knew we had a little more money, we know that that other camera is better for our needs. And I think regardless of how number 8 on the agenda went, it would still be possible for Jared and his team to reach out to the company in Galesville to have an arrangement in place that if we were to have an emergency, that they could come down. I'm sure that's part of the service that they would be able to provide anyways. It would just be a matter of the timeliness. So what I would like to do right now is Jared for sure speak up, but I would like to just maybe put off taking action on this, maybe revisit it next month, or at whatever time you guys would think would be appropriate. That's my thought right now.
Well, I mostly agree with you. This is Steve Knott. My understanding is if we were to go with the more local service provider, we wouldn't even need to consider a camera for at least another 3 years.
As long as they would be available for emergency service. There's still nothing like having your own camera where we can go back to the shop and get it, but they would be the closer alternative than having a camera.
And I have to say, I agree with Mayor Kim. Who knows what another month will bring? And I think 30 days may shed new light on this, and or not, or may take a couple months, but I agree with delaying making any decision at this time as far as purchasing another camera. I think I would lean more towards the $80,000 camera because it has a lot more capabilities, but at this time, I'm not ready to make a decision on that. Jared?
Yeah, I would say if we delay with purchasing a camera, we just look. I hate to say this because it seems like we're always budgeting, but we're really only 6 months from. We're halfway to the next when we're going to get our budgets together. So we could evaluate it as part of the budget process and look at what we would supply as part of the budget process, I think. And if something came up where we had a drastic change where we couldn't get a vendor in to do emergency work or something, obviously we'd bring it back forward and make a recommendation regarding that.
So it feels like we're all agreeing.
Okay, so item 7, then there will be no action on item 7.
Yeah. However, I would ask that if and when that happens, where the information comes back, I would like to see an average life expectancy and average annual maintenance cost provided, that's all.
Yep, I can do that.
Definitely agree, Stephen.
Yep, absolutely, Stephen. Good points. So moving on to item 8, review and consideration of sanitary sewer televising for 2021, 2022, and 2023. Jared.
So in your packet tonight, I have included 2 quotes from 2 different firms for televising sanitary sewers for a 3-year period. In putting those in the same footage, we do have a quote from Green Bay Pipe and TV for $68,536.81. And a quote at 50 cents a foot from Flow-Rite at the same footages would be $72,911.50. That'd be spread out over a 3-year period. We have used the Flow-Rite sewer services firm out of Galesville for probably the last 10 years now. Their price really hasn't changed over that time considerably. The Green Bay Pipe and TV price has come down over the last few years, trying to match their price. It's been at least 10 years. Green Bay Pipe and TV has worked in the city before in my tenure here, but it's been many, many years since they've been in our city. Once again, working back to the sewer camera idea, it is nice to have a local firm that does our work, that we're familiar with, that I think over the course of the 3-year contract, the cost difference between the 2 vendors, it would come in and assist us with emergency services if we did go with the Flow-Rite services out of Galesville.
Mayor Kim?
I had one additional question, Jared. When I was looking at the bids, the Green Bay Pipe and TV company had listed, that they could give it to you in a hardbound or a flash drive, etc. Is that the same? That isn't really defined on the Flow-Rite estimate. Is it similar?
Yeah, we get actual report books that they perform, and they also give it to us in a digital format. And we're still trying to load previous years and it's such a intensive data format that it's hard to get it on our GIS system because it takes up so much storage. So we're still hopeful at some point we'll be able to click on those in the field at some point, but we do have them digitally from either vendor. They'll provide very similar documents and data.
Make a motion that we go with the Flow-Rite services in order to stay with the local provider. Contract amount $72,911.50.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Aldernaut to award the sanitary sewer televising for 21, 22, and 23 to Flow-Rite Pipe and Sewer Services LLC out of Galesville, Wisconsin, in the amount of $72,911.50. Discussion, Mayor Kim?
Jared, what was the budgeted amount?
We actually budgeted $24,000 each year is what we typically will budget.
So
it's
we're right
it's
there.
very close. Yeah, it's very close.
Well, that makes sense because you said they're basically holding the same price they have been for years, and we've been using them. So I mean, that would make sense that you'd have that as the budget.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
I just
Hearing
like to
none?
have.
Oh,
I
go
just
ahead.
like to have that in the record, so then when I'm looking back, it's easier.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was a good question. Thank you, Mayor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 9, review and consideration of submersible pump and emergency power transfer switch replacement at Gunderson Lift Station, non-budgeted item. Jared?
In your packet tonight, I have included a memo outlining some items at the Gunderson Lift Station. It was found, staff did find debris in the pump. They're having troubles with one of the pumps and pulled the pump. Found debris in the pump. The shaft is bent, needs some work done to it. It does still pump. So we've left it, we put it, installed it, reinstalled it, but put it as a lag pump and have been using one pump as the main pump to run the lift station. The current pumps are original from when the lift station was installed in 2003, so they're, 18 years old. We didn't have them in for replacement, but after finding this and looking at the age of them, we would be putting them in for replacement, probably in the 2022 budget. With that, we want to bring it to the board and say, do we spend $4,500 to replace a pump we're probably going to replace in a year, or repair a pump we're going to replace in a year? Or we did secure a quote for flight pumps. Xylem is the only provider of flight pumps, and 2 replacement flight pumps for the station, as you can see in your pack tonight, would be $28,989.08. We do have the sanitary sewer utility doesn't have equipment replacement fund, which items like this are meant for, that could be taken out of. And I don't know if you want to take them separate or both at the same time. I can go through the transfer switch too, if you choose to.
Why don't you just go ahead and go through it, Jared,
Okay,
if that's okay with everyone
Yep.
else?
So the transfer switch, we've been having staff have been getting called out when we've been running the standby generator. And the standby generator during a power transfer will not go off automatically like it should. We're experiencing problems, and it appears to be happening more frequently. So with that, we are requesting the replacement of the power transfer switch for when the emergency generator is put on. And it's a Kohler generator, which is serviced by Total Energy Systems. So they're the sole provider. So that transfer switch installed and parts would come to $4,200. And that would be taken out of the sanitary sewer operating budget.
I move that we approve the non-budgeted expenditure for the submersible pump at a cost of $28,989.08, and also the emergency power transfer switch at a cost of $4,200, with the funding to come from the equipment replacement fund.
I'll second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, seconded by Stephen. Discussion.
I think these are good investments in keeping the, just stuff that has to be done at the station.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay, so item 10. Review and consideration of well number 9 design, permitting, and startup of pre-chlorination feed system alterations, including water treatment filter optimization, non-budgeted item. Jared.
Thank you. So in your packet tonight, I have included a proposed agreement from SCH, Short Elliott Hendrickson. As you know, we have added the post-chlorination through the budgetary process. It's actually getting hopefully installed next week. So we will be putting in piping and increased chlorine cylinders and chlorine at the well number 9 facility. Well number 9 has the filter plant in it to take the iron and manganese out of the water. Looking at the filter over the last 5 years, we've been running the filter, running the plant, and we've been starting to have problems with trying to maintain our chlorine residual, which is mandated by the DNR. And that's part of the reason we went in and requested and secured the funding for the post-chlorination. In part of doing this and working through the pump in the last 3 months, the filter plant, we've went through and lowered the amount of pumpage, found that we're having troubles trying to pump enough chlorine into the filter, because the filter is actually what causes the oxidation process, the chemical process to do the filtering. So when the plant was designed, we were right between 2 pump sizes for the chlorine system. Really went through, tried to make sure, and thought the smaller pump would give us enough chlorine feed. Now we're finding out that we really need to increase that chlorine feed going into the filter to ensure it works properly. So that's what this work would do. So this work also would work in conjunction with the work that's being done with the post chlorination. So we're going to use the equipment from that. It's all going to work in unison. So that those dollars for buying the scales, the increased chlorine in the chlorine room and things will be used all in concert to do this. But as with anything at the well, if we want to do it, we've got to have a stamped set of plans to submit to the DNR and coordinate that. And that's what the first task is on that agreement that you see in front of you tonight. Second task is to have SEH has a operator that has about 45 years of experience, goes all over the Midwest, mainly Minnesota and Wisconsin, working with these filters, different things that different utilities have, operational items. He's going to help us with the startup of the new chlorine system, make sure we're getting the right amount into the filter. And then task 3 is actually for him to come back over a 4-month period and continue to work with our utility operators to ensure that we're using the filter to the best that we can. Optimize those operations, make sure it's running correctly. Once again, this is the only filter we have, was the first one installed in the city. So we're still learning, even though it's 5 years later, we're still learning and adjusting processes and how we use it. So this would be paid out of the sanitary sewer or water operating consulting account. There are funds there for that. It wasn't specifically budgeted, but we do have funds to cover the work, and we're wanting to go forward with this work and really think we need to do it in order to make sure that the $3.5 million well that we have is being used properly and to the best of its ability.
Thank you, Jared. So you're recommending the 3 tasks for the total of $17,300 at SEH then?
That is correct.
Thank you. Mayor Kim?
I move that we approve an amount not to exceed $17,300 for the improvements to well number 9 as described in the agreement with SEH, and this funding will come from the water operations account.
I'll second.
Or what, you can go ahead.
Was that Steven who seconded?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So motion by Mayor Kim, seconded by Stephen Knott, to approve item number 10 in the not to exceed $17,300 per the agreement in our packet this evening with SEH. Discussion. Mayor Kim?
I think that's right, Jared, because it might not cost that much. That was the most it would cost.
Correct. We'll see what the operator coming out and try and use his time wisely and see how that comes out. If we do need more time or whatever, I'd have to bring back an amendment to the board.
Any other discussion at this time? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 11, review and consideration of agreement between City of Onalaska and Wisconsin Department of Transportation for the maintenance of bicycle/pedestrian path within right-of-way of State Trunk Highway 16. Jared.
Thank you. This is the same trail, same areas we had approved. Oh, Kevin, did you have something?
Yeah, just as I wrote my notes on item number 9, I didn't catch that the mayor actually did any approval for the transfer switch. I had her that she listed the pump for 28,000, but I didn't see anything on the transfer switch.
Yep. I did include that. The emergency, I said emergency power transfer switch for $4,200.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's correct. I remember that as well.
Perfect.
But that's good, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Always better to be
Please
safe.
continue
Yeah,
to watch
definitely.
us.
So the off-street path along Highway 16, we did already approve an agreement with La Crosse County regarding them bidding out the project and us taking it over. This would be assuming maintenance with the Wisconsin DOT for the path. We went through this with the DOT representative. I did have the city attorney look at it. She added some language which the DOT incorporated into the document. So I think we're on a good path here. This also includes the short section that the city must install between PH or the Dick's Sporting Goods and South Kinney. So This will cover the whole entire section. So staff's recommending approval of the maintenance agreement.
And Jared, we don't, so then will that, that path, the shorts path that city has to install, that'll be in what, for 2022 capital improvements?
We'll see what year the county is going to install the rest of the path through their process. We'll probably try and mirror the construction, so it's kind of all at the same time. Because they may not get theirs constructed till 2023. I'd make a motion to approve the maintenance agreement between the city of Onalaska and the Wisconsin DOT for the State Trunk Highway 16 off-street path.
I'll
Second.
Motion by Jared, seconded by Stephen Knott to approve the agreement between City of Onalaska and Wisconsin Department of Transportation. Discussion. Mayor Kim.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking a lot tonight, but I just want to say again how happy I am to have this trail. I think it's been a long time coming. I think it will be well used by the community and really supports, you know, the goal of having multimodal transportation opportunities in our community.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Any other discussion at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 12, review and consideration of purchasing asphalt hot box patching trailer. Jared.
So just as a side note, the existing asphalt hot box trailer, it'd be interesting to know that it actually caught on fire twice on us now. So so it's good that we're getting a new one. That's recommendation. But anyways, the 2021 equipment budget did include $40,000 for a replacement asphalt hot box for patching of city streets. Staff is recommending the purchase of a Falcon model from Lorison Asphalt Repair Equipment in the amount of $34,736, and that is the lower of the two quotes attached in your packet tonight.
Now, Jared, I don't see anything about a trade-in.
We're
Yeah.
gonna put it on the government website and we'll probably still get $500 for it.
Other people were giving us 900. Gotta hold out for a better deal here.
Well, if you charge 5,000 more, you can charge more for a trade.
Well, I will make an emotion that we approve the purchase of the Falcon model asphalt hot box from Larson Asphalt Repair Equipment to the amount of $34,736.
I'll second.
Motion by Alder Knott, seconded by Mayor Kim to approve the purchase of the asphalt hot box patching trailer from Larson Asphalt Repair Equipment in the amount of $34,736. Discussion. So Jared, so I see that it was budgeted for 40,000. Okay, so we saved a few more pennies. Good. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 13, review and consideration of Onalaska Cemetery schematic design of columbarium area. Jared.
So within the cemetery master plan, we did identify a proposed columbarium area. And with that, we did go through with the master plan with Tribute Design Systems and got a master plan for the cemetery, which we were very appreciative of. It actually looks very good. We did have a proposal from Tribute for the columbarium design, and we actually did have a proposal sent for architectural construction services for actual construction documents. Within our 2019 capital improvement budget, we did budget for the cemetery master plan, and we had enough funds left in there that we could do the schematic design that is included within your packet tonight. And we wanted to do that kind of as a kickoff for this. And that was in a fee for $5,000. And we can do that within the budget that we had. We also wanted to do the $1,500 3D rendering services so we could get a good picture of what we have. So when we're budgeting for this, we might be able to display that to the public and show what we're going to be getting for our if we choose to go forward in the cemetery. So I'm really looking for tonight is approval of $6,500 for tribute design. We'll probably continue to work with them once we budget for these improvements, but I think this really will get us going. This is where our demand is. We're getting more ash internment, so we're seeing more and more people that want to utilize this in our city cemetery. So I think it will be a great thing to have in the future in our cemetery. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Jared.
I see we do have someone from
Yeah.
Tribute on tonight.
Yes.
If you wanted to add
Hi.
anything, you could
Yes.
more than happy
Oh,
to.
well, first of all, I have to say, sorry, I should get in some better light, but I wanted to say thank you. And I just wanted to say hello again to Jared and Alderman Diane, and then also Mayor Kim. I met all of you when we had made our trip to Onalaska for your open house for the city to come in and say hello. So I didn't know if you had any questions. I just wanted to, I've been sitting and listening to snow removal and things of that sort. So I just wanted to really just say hi and be part just in the event that you had any questions pushing forward to help make you make it the best decision possible for the city.
Well, first of all, welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. I'm sure you had
Yeah,
more
it's
exciting things
great.
to do.
Oh no, but what's great is it's like I remember the faces and the voices. So hearing you talk, it's
It was nice to see you again, too.
yeah.
Any questions of the board for our guests this evening? So I will entertain a motion.
I'd make
Could I
a
have a clarification?
Sure.
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
could I have a clarification on the cost again?
So the cost, the fee for the architectural services and the preliminary schematic design is 5,000. But I would also, it would be another 1,500 to get the rendering and give us a photo simulation of what it would look like. And I think that would help us drastically in showing to the public what this would actually entail and what we could, what we'd be budgeting for. So
No,
I
I'm good. I see that's what's on the paper here. I thought I'd heard something else previously, but I must have misheard. So I'm clear.
okay.
Thank you.
I'd make a motion to approve the $6,500 as outlined in the proposal tonight from Tribute Services for the Columbarium Development Schematic Design.
I'll second. We keep doing that,
Sorry.
Stephen. I keep waiting and then we do it at the same time.
So motion by Jared, seconded by Mayor Kim, to approve and award, or to approve the schematic design to Tribute Design Systems this evening in the amount of $6,500. And that's for the $5,000 for architectural services and also $1,500 for rendering services. So discussion, Mayor Kim.
I'm just gonna follow my same theme tonight because I seem to have something to say about everything. But this is a topic that's really important to our community, and I think that they understand, as just widely speaking, people understand budgeting constraints and the need to plan and take steps. But I think it's really important that each year we're doing something to improve, to work toward our end goal. I mean, maybe we'll always be doing something to improve the cemetery, but I'm really glad that we're going to be able to go forward with this. And I think that visual rendering will have a really big importance when we go and start to try to fund some of this next year.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Yvonne, for coming tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It was our honor to be invited. So thank you. Nice to see your faces again. Not that I don't want to listen to the rest of your meeting, but I think I might catch myself out. So, but I do have to say, if you have any questions along the way, I know that you do have, especially you, Jared, you have Zach Rasmussen's information. You can always reach out to myself as well. But I just really want to thank you for this opportunity. The Tribute Company really appreciates it, and we'll take care of you. We definitely will.
Thank you for everything. Great.
Good night.
Good night. So any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And item 14, pay estimates, Strand Associates, Short Elliott Hendrickson, MSA Professional Services, McCabe Construction, Inc., State of Wisconsin DOT, Fowler and Hammer, Litigar Roofing, Waukesha Construction, and any other contractor developer. I see in our packet, we have monthly estimates dated February 2nd, 2021, total of 13. Jared, I'm assuming that is still current, the 13 pay estimates. I will entertain a motion for approval. Everyone's so shy this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve the pay estimates for all those, I mean, I can go through the whole list again, but for all those mentioned by yourself as published.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
So motion by Aldernatt, seconded by Jared, to approve the pay estimates. I have a total of 13 dated February 2nd, 2021 in our packet. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mayor Kim, second by Aldernatt to adjourn at 7:52. Any, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
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 Those opposed, we are unanimously adjourned at 7:52 PM. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
And
you,
so
everyone.
obviously I was never able to get back in on Zoom as I was playing more with the computer. I'm actually getting now, it says it's unable to reach the server, so I'm probably have to get with Nels.